Oh man, oh man, oh man. All right, got that record button pushed. If the people knew all the things we talked about before we pushed that record button, Rod, if they knew, man. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
that's the secret sauce. You got to keep the secret sauce away from them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, look, we do got the agua today. We do have it. Since I'm not at the studio right now, I will be there in a little bit so I can do some content with Mr. Jeff. This is the fill-in today.
Oh,
Got a new
he's
bottle today.
that's
A little
little
bit more
Jeff.
sweet, slim.
That's little Jeff.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
like
man.
that's like little that's like little Penny.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, I like that. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna see if like our graphic team can come up with like some little avatars or something, like little Jeff. So when he's not here, I'll just have him on screen with us.
That's crazy.
But look, let me get this intro going. I want to get into the Pistons. Obviously, they take on the Bulls today. I want to talk about James Wiseman, Troy Weaver's birthday. Hey, birthdays. We'll talk about it.
Birthday wishes for Troy. There you go. I got you.
Let's go. Well, what up, though, people? It is your boy Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, and this is the Woodward Pistons podcast. As you already heard, Mr. Jeffrey Iafredi is rocking out on the morning Woodward show at the moment, and we will be going live after that. So stay tuned. Well, actually, for you all, you would have already seen it, but I got to get this drum roll going for the legend, Detroit News Rod Beer. Let's go. Hey, yo, welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing today?
It is a wonderful Wednesday, like all Wednesdays that we get to do the show. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome to kick this off as always. And listen, it is Troy Weaver's birthday, and we're gonna get him those wishes. But hey, look, we did, guys. We were able to take the legend out finally. We were able to. We didn't. I didn't want to go and like plaster pictures everywhere. It felt, since we've been doing this show more personal, it felt like like almost like a finally, like a culmination. And I wanted to kind of just be that. We were able to get Jeff out there in his busy schedule, man. It was a mess. The paparazzi, the way they just kind of flooded the place when he was there. The people were turning around. I'm like, Rod, they recognize you. No, it's Jeff. Are you afraid?
It is Jeff. It is Jeff. So let me say this so that people know.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I got there first. So when Jeff walks in, and I kid you not, you can't even make this up. The bartender is like, "Hey, Jeff, what's up?" Word, for real, Jeff. That's how we do. And he's like, I've never been to PF Chang's before. For real, Jeff. The bartender called my name when you walked in, and he comes with the story. I know Hirsch. We used to work together.
Sure.
Whatever. When you walk in and they give you the norm treatment, but that's it. That's all I got.
You've never even been at too. They're like, hey, get him as regular. And it's like, wait, what? What is the regular?
Exactly. Call it what it is.
It's man. I liked it though. It was an awesome time.
No, absolutely. Got to chop it up.
Brain. It was cool, man. And definitely again, close out all of the birthday wishes by again just letting you know how much you've definitely meant to us and to the platform. And I hope that you continue on in your successes and in your endeavors as well, and continue to just be a light to the community, man. Definitely.
It's my goal to get you guys to be at that level of where you want to be. It's because what else am I doing? How much further am I going in what I'm doing? It really is now just trying to help other people reach wherever they want to go.
But hey, listen, the impact is definitely felt, and you're working all of this, man. The camaraderie and just being real is definitely appreciated, and definitely with Troy Weaver, we want to make sure that we extend that happy birthday from the platform to him as well. Happy birthday, Troy Weaver, for sure. Rod, you covered the team at the start of his tenure. Is there anything about Troy Weaver, or anything you want to say to Troy Weaver that you wanted to share?
But Troy is just a real one, man, and he's and I told you guys at dinner that I've been so fortunate to be around coaches that have been a blessing, and they will teach you stuff without even knowing that they're teaching you. But when I started at Michigan, I was covering Beeline. Stan Van Gundy and Dwayne Casey have been the coaches that I've covered. But then when you look at the GMs, it was Stan who was kind of the team president and the coach at the same time.
Hey, bro, that's a roster, by the way. You can't just blow by that. That's a roster of
I
coaches
mean,
cover, man.
but just in terms of media accessibility and being good with the media, those three guys, but then just knowing their basketball, those three guys too. And then when you get to Troy and you talk to him about just philosophies of building teams and just what he sees in certain guys. What did he see in Russ at the time that made, and it was like that dude was just different. And you can see that it's so forward looking to understand this is where the game is going. Here's an explosive guy like Russ, or here's Carmelo, that they're going to be legends of this era that we talk about. And for somebody to identify those guys is and to be able to pick their brain and to talk to them about different stuff, that's just a blessing for a writer to be able to do. And there's so few good people like that you get to be around so many of them. It's just that's just one. I've been very, very fortunate and very lucky. And Pistons fans, whether you see it in the results right now or not, I think this thing is really going to turn around. And when it does, you're going to look and say, hey, we went through the fire to kind of get to the point where we are right now.
Yeah. I love that perspective. I really do. And I think it's even better when it comes from somebody who's kind of been in the trenches. You know, you get to see and you gotta get the feel of the attitude in the room, you know, something that I'm just starting to kind of get a sense of, kind of being around them a little bit more. And I know that you had an even more personal or intimate access to them. And so when Rod is talking about this stuff, y'all, I'm telling you, when he's telling you, based on what he's seen, based on what he's covered, based on what his mind is picked up from just basketball across time, what Troy Weaver's doing right now, you can believe in. And that's kind of what shapes a lot of what we state. It's not any aspect of like blind enthusiasm. It's not some aspect of just, we're, slappy for the team. It's like, no, there's some things we can definitely say, hey, we wish these things were better, but as it relates to the overall goal, the overall plan, what Troy Weaver has already shown in just his own pedigree, just his own history and his own past, mixed with what he's shown here already, the wins and losses might not be there, but he has this team in a position to realistically get good quickly and sustain how good they can be for a lot longer than just, we made the playoffs, but we got swept. Only if we had depth, right? That's what we said in that first playoff appearance with SVG against Cleveland. We were happy. We were a lot more happy, I think, when we made the playoffs then, because it was such a long time. We did it with players that had hope. We had hope for Andre Drummond at that time. We had hope for Stanley Johnson at that time. We had hope for Reggie Jackson at that time. We had hope for other players during that time. By the time they made it with Casey, it was almost just like, why did we do this? It was like, dang, shout out Blake, but what are we doing? And there was no foundation. With what Troy is doing, I personally, out of everything we've seen over the last, 10, 15 years, this is the one that makes me a little bit more excited. It looks like what I've seen, like the start to what other winning franchises have done. We can look at Phoenix, we can look at Cleveland, we can look at Memphis, we can look at other squads that have all gone through the same process. So, yeah, Troy Weaver, definitely happy birthday. Shout out again. And anything else?
No, and I was just going to say there are no guarantees on this stuff, because you can assemble the roster any way you want to, but you need luck in everything that you're doing. Even the Heatles with LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh, you need some sense of luck.
Yeah,
you can't just have a rocks and then say, hey, we're just going to go out here and win. You need to be wins and losses, and they lost this game and they looked really bad. If you're doing that on March 1st, then I don't know what to tell you. This from the last 20 games, and if you're looking at it that way,
Yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough.
There's going to be a game here and a game there that's good, but to take anything sweeping from these last 20 games is going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, yep. I think we have to look at it exactly the way Troy Weaver and Casey said. And I want to get into that. I want to get into that now, actually. Kind of this rest of the season outlook, because I kind of put that last on the topic list, but I feel like it's not really a lot to go over. It's kind of what they've been stating. It kind of wraps up James Wiseman as well. This is about the development of these young guys. This is about who's going to be here for when Troy Weaver starts to really, really spend that money. And now he's going to have a direction. Now he has a knowledge of, hey, these are our weaknesses. These are our strengths. You know what? No, this is what we want to be known for. Because some people could say, well, why are we stockpiling big men? Maybe he wants to be a big team, like he's already stated, that the other squads that they continue to get pummeled by, that they can't figure out, they all have two bigs. That was what he stated when they were talking about the thought process of trading for a James Wiseman, that they love Stewart. They love what he brings on to the table. But realistically, just like they say with Bojan playing the 4 and Stu playing the 5, that's not their natural positions. That's not how we get the best out of them. And right now, that's not how we get the best out of competing. If we're going to take the next step forward, we're going to need some guys like James Wiseman. And we're going to have to kick the tires a little bit to see if these guys can pan out, so that we don't have to go out into free agency and throw away a lot of our money on those same types of guys who on their second or third contract might command tremendously, $10 million more a year than a James Wiseman would command. I think it's a brilliant move by Troy Weaver to do something like this. And so for the rest, at least for me, for the rest of this, when I hear Dwayne Casey even say it, yeah, I want to see these guys take the steps forward. It's finally time to see, what is Killian Hayes exactly? What is Stu going to be? Is he your starting 4? Is he somebody that you're bringing off the bench? Because for me personally, man, unless the money is just crazy, I don't think that Stewart is a guy you want, that you're just okay with. Hey, we can trade him. We can this, we can that. I kind of like his heart. I do agree with Troy as it relates to starting a couple bigs, but I don't know. I don't see much beyond just individual player development and shaking out what's going to happen with this roster as it relates to the most important thing to look at as the season comes down to a close. I hope people are not looking at wins and losses.
Let me ask you this. If Stu is coming up for his extension, his rookie extension, what do you think he gets? What are you if you're Troy, what are you willing to pay him in a second contract?
Yo, that's a really good question, man. Man, that's a good question.
Is he worth $15 million a year?
Stewart?
Yeah.
I believe so. 15? That'll be high.
See, and I was gonna say, if you can get him for 12, you're doing okay.
Yeah, because you're right.
It's a toughie.
64 for 60 type of thing, like.
And that's kind of Luke Kennard money. Is he more valuable to you than Luke Kennard was? Or at that time, I think Luke was.
You're right. It was 4 for 64 for Luke Kennard. If that was the contract or in the neighborhood for Stu. Wow. Wow, that's a good question.
I mean, and that's just something to chew on for people who are saying,
yeah.
So just think of whatever that number ends up being, that'll tell you what type of work Troy Weaver does to get to that point. Because if that number is less than 15, if you're willing to do 15 and you're saying, oh, that's a little high, you look at the price. It's like when you go to the store and you look at something and you turn the price tag and you're like, okay, but if I like it, let me look at it again. Okay,
yeah,
all right, let me get this. It's worth it. If 15 is that number, then is it over that number or lower than that number that Stu actually comes in at? And how do you structure the rest of your roster with that? So I'll give you an easier one. What's Killian's second contract number if you're bringing him back.
Hey, bro, definitely not the 15.
Not
Not even
15.
the
Not
12, bro.
15. Not
Not even
15.
it can't even be the 12, in my opinion.
So what if
Does
you
he
were
get the
getting Killian?
10 in a second contract? Does it dictate it? I mean, he's a good facilitator, decent, I believe, backup in a set role. And I think on a good team, things go very, very much better for Killian Hayes. I don't want to put the full condition of the team on him, but in terms of the output, I don't see him getting I don't even see him getting the 12. That
So
would have to be I
let me
like him
give
a
you
lot.
this then. He's making he was as a number 7 pick, he's making 5.8 this year. Next year is 7.4. I don't know how you can go much higher than the 7.4 for next year. Maybe it's 8.
My mind was on 8 the whole time. I didn't want to throw out numbers that I thought, I was just sitting there like, let me take the time to parse it. But 8 was kind of on my mind. The 12 was just like, no. The 10 was like, if I really, really, really like you,
But
maybe.
But if 10 gets you Alec Burks, who do you prefer?
Alec
Hayes?
Burks.
I mean, so there you go. There's your number. If the market gets you 10 for Alec Burks, and for what you're really trying to do, so that may be the reason that you went and got RJ Hampton. If you think RJ Hampton can play the same level of defense and he can be that combo guard, you're protecting yourself in either case.
Aggressive to the rack too.
And in either case, whether you say you're not gonna you're trading Burks or you're parting with Hayes, either way, RJ Hampton could be that guy who's the cheaper option for either of those two guys. So again, when people want to say Troy Weaver's not doing anything, he's being very careful, if nothing else, and he's protecting himself in case something goes sideways in either case. So people don't look at stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at rookie contracts and rookie extensions and what you have to do, why would you go get RJ Hampton? Because if Killian's gone, he's the cheaper option to maybe be your defender hybrid sort of guy to give you a different sort of look. It's not on accident that he's going out and getting the players and doing the stuff that he is. Is James Wiseman, when his extension comes up, are you going to have to pay a boatload of money for him? No, because he hasn't proven anything. So why go get James Wiseman? Because you would have had to have paid Sadiq. If in Sadiq's case, what does his rookie extension look like? He might be. What's that?
Have you seen the rumors?
What are the rumors? Tell me what the rumors are, and I'll tell you what my number was.
Bro, I saw people saying stuff like 4 for 90.
Right. So so if it's 20 plus.
Wow, bro. What?
If you're having to pay 20 plus for Sadiq, look at Jordan Poole's contract. Jordan Poole got what? Oh, what is his? His was like, whoa, bro. That's what the market is now.
Yo, Stu for 15 is starting to sound kind of like, hey, cool.
Jordan Poole's is
that's wild.
He's
man.
making in the 30s. So next year is 28.7, 30.9, 33,
Young boys
and 35. So that's
68,
68, 99. So yeah, 120. So like 128. So 4 for 128 for Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, excellent player. He'll be an all-star in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But if Sadiq is anywhere in that conversation, he's 20 plus. So it's not necessarily that you're getting a great player or even an equal player in return. You're preventing yourself from having to pay Sadiq that extra money. Yeah. And you can get Wiseman on a value contract for his second deal because he has to show you a little bit more. People got to think more than just what's happening today. It's a bigger picture 2, 3, 4 years down the road. That's
it.
That's completely what Troy Weaver is doing. All we got was James Wiseman. You got a contract that you can manage for a couple more years, and that gives you some more cap space. And looking at Jordan Poole's basketball reference page, it says his nickname is the microwave, and I'm suddenly offended by that. But um, I think he knows what's up. He's not exactly. It's one microwave.
Yeah,
He
yeah, we got it all on deck, bro. We what you need, man. We got. I got so much. Never mind, man. Let's
in
just
the
get back
comp
on
in
topic.
the compound. We gotta talk to the basketball reference people and get him changed to the air fryer or something else that's a little bit less invasive
You know
in
what,
taking nicknames.
bro? The air fryer that fits, man. That fits Jordan Poole's whole persona, man. I love it. I love it. Like a sleek air fryer, though. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
big double wide ones. A nice sleek one. It does the
Hey,
job. Put the
hey,
nuggets and the
we
fries in. It's good to go.
hey, we gotta just like charcoal and propane and gas. We gotta have an air fryer conversation at one point because the double wide is that deal. Is that deal? That's another show though.
We're gonna talk
We'll
about
talk
that one.
later on that.
We are going. We have to. We have to. And bro, bringing up all those numbers you did, it's making me rethink. Like, if man, yo, bro, how did he get Bojan to sign for that deal? How did he get Alec Burks? Like, I'm just sitting here like, hmm. And if he knows he can go out there and do that with the money that they got in the coffers, then shouldn't he be kicking the tires on guys like Hampton and Wiseman? If you know at any point in time I can go pluck a Jeremy Grant, a Bojan Bogdanovic, and Alec Burks, if you know I can every year take those shots, then that's what he's doing with Wiseman and Hampton. Like, it gives him the ability, like you said, to be able to hedge his bet. Killian Hayes, Alec Burks, RJ Hampton. It's just like, yo, this is kind of brilliant. Marvin Bagley, Beef Stew, James Wiseman. It's like, I see what he's doing. Jalen Duren, I see what he's doing.
Brandon, but we're fanboys though. There's nothing to this stuff that we're talking. We're just gassing him up because we work for the team. We there's no factual basis in what we're saying. We're just fanboys. That's all this is.
Bro,
He's not making cap friendly, cap smart moves. We're just fans. That's all this is. We only have credentials so we can go to the games and cheer for him.
bro,
That's
Bojan
really what's
is
going
getting
on.
$20 million a year. Think about that. He signed Jeremy Grant to $20 million a year. Think about that. Like, when I just think about these deals, I'm like, how? And he's doing it when he signed Jeremy Grant, everybody said that's crazy. When he signed Bojan, everybody said, I would have thought it would have taken a little bit more. I think about it, and both deals have proved more valuable to the Pistons than I don't even know if it's like, obviously the players are getting $20 million. That's pretty awesome. But I feel like the Pistons are getting so much more value out of that. The package that they got back for Jeremy Grant, plus the foundation that he was able to help lay. He
And if
brought a
they're
certain sense.
able to bring Jeremy Grant back this offseason, I'm gonna stop being a fan. I'm gonna
Bro, I
just stop
told
being
you
a
we were
fan.
gonna have some fun today, man. I had all of these things. I don't even understand why you're just saying to players. Why Vinny Johnson even came up. I had it off to the side. I got Mr. Grant here. We'll see, man. If that winds up happening, people are not. I'm gonna be insufferable, Rod. Man, let them get Jeremy Grant, man. Let him come back. Goodness gracious.
I don't think Dame's gonna let that happen. Dame is gonna put a chair up against the door and make sure he can't leave.
Oh man, damn, we got room over here too, man.
Hey.
Bring your coach. No. Let me see. What's next on here, man? James Wiseman, right?
Off the rails. Off the rails. Off the rails.
I feel like Adam buzzed that in. That was Adam Baydoun, folks. But I want to talk about James Wiseman really quickly. I can't even, man. Hold on. Let me get back to this. All right. James Wiseman, man. This was a guy I think people were ready to make him the target of all of our seasons out here. Like all season, they've been trying to figure out who is it going to be? Is it going to be just solely Casey? Is it Troy Weaver? You keep seeing this weird blame percolating everywhere. People wanted to hate on Sadiq Bey, and it was like he's traded. Then when the Wiseman thing happened, everyone was like, "What?" I had to chuckle because the show before, you were even like, "What do you think about Wiseman? Is he a bust?" And I was like, and he was like, "Wait, there might be some more meat on the bones." I was like, "All right, you're right." And then like literally a week later, I was going back to the show tape like, Rod strikes again. You know what I mean? He strikes again. But Wiseman kind of had even the most staunch Troy Weaver supporters like, let me. And then, when the trade got held up, everybody was just kind of like, well, we wanted to see what we had. And now that we see what we had, Rod, I want to ask you first, man. What are you thinking about James Wiseman?
It's the whole theme of this whole thing. You don't know. You don't know, but you at the end of the day, when you don't know, just trust your GM. Just trust that he knows what he's
Sure.
doing and that he hasn't busted on anybody. Again, if you're gonna say Killian's a bust, fine. But even still, that's one out of a page full of deals that he's made and draft picks that he's made that I just talked about the thing with Sadiq and the contract, and if you're dodging a $20 million a year contract with Sadiq. But if Wiseman turns out to be anything like they think he is, can
Yeah.
a need for you in the front, then it's worth it because people will say Giannis, Embiid, the bigs in the East. It's not even the star players, it's your Brook Lopez's. Who's guarding him on this roster currently? Are you putting Bagley on Brook Lopez? Are you putting Stewart on Brook Lopez? That's looking at the construction of the rosters right now and saying, we can't compete with that. We need to swap out some people. If you're at the gym and the other team has a big man and that big man is killing you in the post and you got next and you're trying to assemble another squad, you're not running back to the same five you had. You're looking for a big man on the side, like, okay, well, let me hold a spot to see who loses, and maybe I can get that big man off that team. And
Sometimes you don't
so
even care if that big man is even that good, but if he's shown
he's
he
just
can
big.
be something to clog the middle, you're like, yo, I need you to at least grab a rebound and just
That's it.
box out.
That's it. And just be a serviceable big man. And so, but we know that Weaver was high on Wiseman in the draft. You just weren't high enough in the draft to be able to pick him up. So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too that a lot of the new people that they're bringing in are all from this same sort of draft. Is from, and why is this? Again, not coincidental, but these are guys. Your Hampton, your Wiseman, you got Killian, and you got Stewart. They're coming up for their rookie deals. How many of these guys can you get for
Oh,
lower than market value? It's not a coincidence that all of these guys are from the same sort of draft. People got to think a little bit more about this and why it's people in this 2021 draft.
so he's swapping out contract slots right now. Think
Chestnut
about it.
checkers,
No
man.
re-ups. He just swapped like Sadiq, Wiseman. You know what? I got a need here. We don't really have a need for what Sadiq is bringing right now. Fine player. But he found a way to get a big that he said, I need one of these 7-footers. He's
Mhm.
versatile. They tried to trade for Bobo, right? They wanted that. And people said, oh, man, I remember some of the people like, yo, I wish this deal would have went through last year. Honestly, I think James Wiseman and the things that we've kind of just seen, the little sprinkles here, I wish defensively he showed a little bit more in the rim protection. I don't know what his opportunities are like, but it's more in line with what you were stating. You don't know really what he's going to bring you defensively. He's bringing me a little bit more in rebounding than I thought.
Mhm.
But I kind of like what Wiseman is able to bring over what Bol is able to bring. Just kind of in these 4 games we've seen. I know Bol has put together this season a little bit more consistently, but 13 points and 8 rebounds in his 4 games here with the Pistons, man, so far. I like what James Wiseman is doing. That's in 23 minutes per game. Obviously, the big explosion in the last one against the Hornets was 23 points, 7 rebounds. And you saw a little bit of everything, bro. Mid-range, 3-point, back to the basket. That was probably the thing that I really liked the most. They just threw it down to him. I was like, whoa, can he do that? Because I'm so
Mhm.
used to them throwing it down to a Pistons big, even with Jalen Duren, and they still have things to work on. Yeah, as it relates to back to the basket hook. Now he just got it, boom, boom, the 1-2, like we used to see in the 90s, hook shot. It's like, whoa. I don't remember the last time we had a big that's what he could do. They went right back to him. Boom, boom, hook shot again, went right in. I was like, yes. Came down and hit the mid-range like he's McDice, then hit the three like he's Sheed. And it's just like this is the potential that made that saw this guy get pick number 2. And then I forgot the rebound, pass it out to the guard. They passed it back to him at the 3-point line of the other side, in the backcourt. And he took it coast to coast, man. Layup. Like I see the potential. I hope that the consistency and health can attend, but the potential, man, I love what I'm seeing. Obviously, you want to see more, but if they can get him on a much cheaper deal than they were going to get Sadiq Bey, if they can get
It's
him
gonna be
on a cheaper deal
much
than
cheaper,
Marvin Bagley,
much cheaper.
who's absolutely mashing right now. I think he's turning himself into just an asset, whether he stays or whether he goes. I've been telling you, man, Marvin Bagley is something that nobody's been talking about. And I think he's going to come up very, very, instrumental either in the offseason or if he's on the roster going into next season. These
Yep.
guys are looking awesome playing together and they look interchangeable. Like not just at the 5. I mean, like I want to see these guys playing like together because they're kind of both versatile.
Right, and that was the point that I wanted to make too about the way he's positioning this team for free agency and for the draft is that you don't want to have to draft for need when you haven't won a lot. And
Yeah.
when you're in the position they're in, you're not trying to draft for needs. You're just trying to get the best players available. So the reason that it's structured the way that it is now is you don't know what the draft pick is going to look like. You don't know what free agency looks like. All you can do was give yourself movable pieces and versatile pieces to say, well, if we get this pick, if you end up with Victor, what do? Well, you got some other things you can move around and make that still work. What happens if you get Scoop? Well, we can try to do this, then this, and this, and that.
Mm,
But if you have a defined roster with defined roles and everybody is kind of slotted into this thing, then you've got Stewart, you've got Bogey. What happens if you get Victor in that case? Well, who's moving around? Well, you don't quite know. What happens if you have to take one of the Thompson brothers because you move down to say 4 or 5 or 6 or something, and you got to take a Thompson brother? Well, our roster's kind of set, so we can't go get Jeremy Grant because we're getting a Thompson, and we got the. So you want to be as flexible as you can because you don't know what any of that looks like. So financially,
yeah.
you're flexible with your contracts, and positionally, you're flexible because guys can move around and do some other stuff. So you just want to see a plan. At the end of the day, you want to see a plan and say it may not be solidified concrete yet, but I see what he's trying to do. I see that he's moving some things around. And that's
Right.
what fans in their patience have to kind of understand is that it's not going to look like a finished product right now because it's not done. And you can't rush the process in any of this. Just let that man work, leave him alone, and wait until after this draft and after next season. And if you want to say that he's trash after that, more than welcome to do it because he will have had the 4 years to make
Right.
that impression and to do that. But to do it after 3 years and with all the injuries and everything else is way, way, way too premature.
Yeah, it's like for me, within 3 to 5 years, though, that's when you do the assessment.
Mhm.
After that, that's when you actually say, that's when you make a declaration, but up until then, that's when you're just assessing. These people have a roadmap. They say, hey, give us time and let's get there. I love to be able to use Harbaugh and honestly, Mel Tucker. I like to be able to use these two coaches because I believe that Michigan State is going to be okay long term with Tuck. I like what he's doing there. I really
Mhm.
do. I think that he's laying a foundation, but he came in hot. And sometimes that's not the sustainable way. You could come in and kind of finagle things. The roster wasn't necessarily all the way his and whatnot. And as he continues to lay that foundation, I think he will have that success, but it takes time and fans have to understand it. And a lot of Michigan State fans and their school recognize that and they gave him the contract. Whether that's the right deal or the wrong deal, you really owe it to yourselves the time to see what it is. But on the
Mhm.
flip side with Harbaugh, you have an instance where um it didn't fit right away because of the type of foundation and the type of success he wanted. It wasn't enough for him to just say, "Oh, well, we made the playoffs," or "Oh, wow, we made the Big Ten." He
Hmm.
wants to smash the Big Ten every single year. He wants to be the person that represents the Big Ten in the playoffs every single year. And sometimes that means tearing it down to the studs or taking a painstaking way through. But if you know what you have is proven, you just wait until that thing starts to pay dividends. Yeah, yeah. Look, you have to have bookends on it. And that's why I'm
Hmm.
glad you stated, look, guys, this offseason, this draft and the season to see the results, to see the meld, to see the chemistry, to see these things come to fruition. And then we can start to say, you know what, this is just not working. But until then, all we can do is analyze and assess realistically, are these moves working, are these not? And throughout the process, we haven't been bashful or shy about what's been working and what's not. Killian Hayes is somebody that is seriously on a cusp because he's not meeting, you know, the expectation that was set forth with the 7th overall draft pick. And by cusp, I mean in terms of what he could have gotten. Like obviously, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, these are guys who their second contracts are going to look much better than what Killian Hayes is.
Hmm.
Killian Hayes may still find himself on the team, but in a role that's not really befitting of what we originally thought he could become.
Right.
And that's so to speak, what I'm trying to say, so to speak, with Killian Hayes. And I think it's brilliant because we've seen past GMs again just rest on their laurels, just sign those players because well they're my draft picks. They protect these players; they're going to get it right. I want a GM that's going to actually focus on getting it right, no matter how wrong it may make him look.
Yeah.
I just don't care. People are like, oh, look at this Killian Hayes thing, guys. You can't say, oh, he keeps drafting guards, he keeps drafting best player available. He brought all these guards in here, but then try and get on his case for Killian. Is he not allowed realistically if Killian is not meeting the measure of what he thought to go out and say, you know what, another one and another one?
Yep.
Think about it. If you told me coming in 4 years he's going to put together your future backcourt with all-star potential based on what outsiders are saying, this is not about what you and I are saying. We're hearing it from outsiders. I'm hearing this from ESPN all the way analysts all the way to the Fox guys. They're stating, you know what, Ivy and Cade, they have future all-star type, aspirations. You're seeing all of the future lists, all of these things. Come on, man. Within 3-4 years, you're telling me, I'm sorry, 3 years, you're telling me he's going to find your two guards that are making all rookie teams?
Man, Brandon, stop being a fan because it eats away at your credibility when you just say stuff. You got to be critical of him. You got to say that he's trash. That's the only way that people are going to listen to this thing.
I don't get it, brother. I don't get it. But I wanted to close today on something pretty cool. We got the opportunity through Rare Access. People, if you don't know about Rare Access, they're doing a lot right now in the Pistons community to provide a lot to the fans that have continued to stay connected throughout the years. It's been a lot of down years. And we feel like, or at least Rare Access felt like, based on what they were hearing from a lot of the fans, that there was a lot more that they could help connect so that we're not losing our touch to the fans to the team, just because they might shift arenas or just because it might be through a down year and it makes it a little bit more difficult for people to truly support. And so they created this NFT program that when you're a holder of one of their 3 levels of NFTs, then you get access to exclusive huddles with team and organization members, players, team events, meetups, and more. And it's been pretty awesome experience so far because it's a large community of us that are really, really starting to come together. I got the privilege to be on there and talk to Alicia Jeffries, the Detroit Pistons chief marketing officer. And it was a really cool thing to be able to talk to her about everything they've done. Everything they've done to keep fans engaged since she's gotten on in 2003. And Rod, I think you have some knowledge or some relationship with Alicia Jeffries.
Yeah. I profiled her last year, and just a wonderful person to talk to about kind of their direction and what they're trying to do from a marketing standpoint.
Mhm,
But she gets it. She gets the basketball side of it. She gets the fan side of it.
mhm.
And even though things have been down in terms of wins, they still manage to get a loyal fan following, and to reach that and to make that a good experience for fans when they're coming in the door. And that's really all you can ask for.
Yep. Yep. And it was awesome. And one of the things she touched on was being able to properly honor our legends without being a franchise who hasn't really won in a long time and just keeps looking back. And so one of the questions that came up was, what about a ring of honor? And I posed this question to Twitter as well. To honor those that don't have their jerseys in the rafters, because after a certain amount of time, it feels like if all the jerseys are going up from the 04 Pistons and from the bad boys, from the starters, does it cheapen the honor?
Mhm.
Especially if they were only here for maybe a year or two. If they weren't necessarily part of the fabric of the community or fabric of how the team or the organization was built during that time. So I thought, what about a ring of honor like we see some other organizations do, where they, in different sports that honor their different players. And I wanted to ask you, who were some of the players, if they did something like this, who are some of the players, maybe your top 3 or 5, if you can even think of it, you believe would deserve to really be a part of this ring of honor?
So as soon as you start talking about retired jerseys and blah blah blah, you start to get into where's the line.
Mm-hmm.
So when they retired Rip's jersey, I know that people were a little off about that. And maybe even Vinnie Johnson is one that you say, maybe they shouldn't have retired it because they cheapened that a little bit. Um, so is it Sheed that belongs in there? Is that the line? Is that where you say, um, what are you looking for there? Is it like a multi-time all-star? Because that's Drummond.
Oh, yeah.
Does Drummond deserve to be?
Multi-time
That's
all-star
where you
and
have to
an
start drawing the
all-NBA
line.
player was
Is it
Drummond.
do does Blake belong in there for his couple of years? So it's really, where's the redundancy, and is it so bad to not have some people be honored, but you just know who they are?
Hmm.
Because there's probably only a handful of people that you would say they belong in that ring of honor. Maybe Tayshaun, I think, would be a good one to put in there.
Yeah. I think he agreed.
Tayshaun, Tayshaun, Rip, Drummond is kind of iffy in that group.
So you
If
think like Tayshaun, I was thinking like, would you go to the Sack era? Did he do enough to be involved or included in a ring of honor?
yeah, but if you have a ring of honor, is it really worth it to do it for 5 people?
That's true.
Is it worth it? Because it's just that fringe sort of, they could have been.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, because what are you doing? Are you doing Corliss Williamson? Is that what you're doing?
The
I'm
big
so serious.
nasty.
I'm so serious. So
What
is
guys
that,
would be there? I was thinking like what Stack, Grant. I think Lindsey Hunter is one that
I can agree with that.
I
I
think
can agree with that.
Lindsey. I looked up again, like it's like what my eyes thought. I thought Lindsey was great, like as it relates to a playoff impact. When I looked it up, I was like, whoa, it's actually better than I thought. And he's one of those guys that I believe, when you start pulling maybe playoffs into it, who maybe they didn't win a championship, maybe they did. When you start pulling in, hey, like a guy like Grant who dragged the franchise on a bad ankle, even in that playoffs against the Heat. It's like, do those guys deserve to be honored in a particular way? Because I know some people even believe that Grant Hill's jersey should be retired. That, to me, honestly, I love Grant Hill. My first superstar crush, bro. I was like, I need everything. But I feel like when we talk about that line being drawn, his jersey can't necessarily be there. But it's like he meant so much. Like I remember it. I remember it. Grant Hill was bigger than life. We haven't in basketball, have we had a player that has had that same magnetism on a global or in national scale? Like Grant Hill was electric, man. And then the skill to match it for our Detroit Pistons, it was just like, man, I don't know.
So then is Kelly Tripucka in this Ring of Honor? So here's the
Oh,
bottom
goodness.
line.
Yeah, you're right. It gets
It
tough, man.
gets real sticky.
Yeah.
So if you can't give me 10 solid people that there's no argument about, and we just probably went through 7. If you can't give me 10, then what's the point? And
That's true on that one.
if you really feel like you have to honor Grant Hill and Tayshaun and Sheed and whoever else, then it's not worth it just for to have a Ring of Honor with an additional 5 people. The number has to be something like 10.
Yeah. The one thing I do like that they're doing, and I just saw the release yesterday. I put it out there. What they're doing by honoring the Detroit shot. That was one way I thought. If they didn't do a Ring of Honor, if they had games, like they brought Grant Hill back for a game, him and his daughter, they made sure to honor him, put him up on the screen, play highlights and things of that nature. I thought if they did something like that, that might be as well something that is easy to do for everybody. So even
Mhm.
if they might not have been somebody who could have placed into a Ring of Honor, it doesn't do anything or cost anything really to put together a Kelly Tripucka night, you know, for players like that. Even like the players like the Junkyard Dog, who would never make it into a Ring of Honor, maybe, not necessarily,
Mhm.
but in terms of going back into some of those and just showing the highlights of like the fabric of what Detroit basketball has always been, I wouldn't even mind seeing a few Jason Maxill and Will Bynamite. Nah. I think that might be going a little too far now. Nah. But like, I like how they were able to, bring Stackhouse back with the Teal introduction, reintroduction, and things of that nature. And
Mhm.
the ways that they're incorporating Isaiah Thomas into such having them courtside and things. I believe that would be probably more cool than even a Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor, I know that the name sits, but if you knew every year there's a Rasheed Wallace night at LCA where they're gonna honor him and he's gonna be there, and the special fans can get a picture. Whoever got these special tickets or got there ahead of time, and his highlights are gonna be up on the screen, and they're gonna just throughout the game do different things. I
Mhm.
think that would be really, 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 really cool way, and it keeps it present. It keeps, his face there. It brings him back. It invites him, treats him with Detroit hospitality, lets him get that love that if we're not doing that, he's only seeing on social media. Maybe, you know, I don't know, man. It was just some cool things, and I like the way that Alicia Jeffries and their marketing staff is already going out of their way to make sure they do things for and with the players of old and current.
Yeah, and they have such a finger on the pulse of what I think fans are looking for, because it's not just fans of Isaiah and Chauncey and guys like that, but there are people who really do care about the role players on all of those teams. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just cool stuff to see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, man, I think that this one is a wrap. I know we got the Pistons and the Bulls tonight. Hopefully, people do not, crap the bed if we lose to the Bulls. Especially if Drummond gets busy.
I mean, I want to take one look here at the standings too. Okay, you got the Pistons and the Spurs at 15 and 47. You got Houston at 13 and 48. You got Charlotte at 20 and 43. So for all intents and purposes, the Pistons and Houston, Detroit, and San Antonio are kind of locked into those bottom 3 because
Yeah.
it's not going to change 4.5 games.
Mm-mm.
You don't want to drop to have potentially the number 7 pick. The lowest you probably want to have is number 6. So there will be some interesting games down the stretch here. I, there will be
Some weird lineups, huh? Like the
there
one we
there.
saw the other day.
I mean, you'll give some of your young guys an opportunity to play, and there will be real injuries like livers. There will be
Mm-hmm.
some load management too to make sure that Bogey doesn't get hurt in advance of next year. Also,
Yeah. Honestly, bro, wrap him in bubble wrap already. Already, I'm ready to see Cade, Ivy, and Boyan offense. I just am. Just preserve that. Honestly, if you want to give Jaden Ivy even a couple nights off here and there, I'm like, that guy got it. he has it. Just let these guys continue to learn, continue to develop, see what you got in RJ Hampton, Wiseman, Killian. You know,
You don't need chemistry with Ivy and Wiseman right now.
right.
I think you've seen enough of Ivy right now to say you know what he is, and let's just push to next season.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're shutting him down, but there's nothing more you need to see from him. Yeah, it's 20 games of experience that he can have. I get that. But it is you get somebody with an ACL or something at this point of the year, and it compounds what you've gone through with Cade. So I can see resting some people, and I can see seeing what RJ Hampton has. And
I want to see that, man.
it's
That's at least my selfish desire. I'm like, look, save Ivy, you know, save Bojan. You know, just let these guys rest. It sucks seeing Duren go out there and then tweaking this and tweaking that. Say, once we know what we got in a development year, let's just let that be what it is, man. But any last words before we sign off here?
no, that's it. That's it. We'll save it for next time.
Hey, thank you as always, Detroit News Rod Beard. But let me do it proper, man. Let me do it proper. My name is Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid. Thanks for rocking out for the Woodward Pistons podcast. I'm about to jet out of here and do some content with Jeff. You guys would have already seen it by now, though. But let me get this drum roll going. Hey, yo, shout out to the legend, Detroit News Rod Beard. Thank you as always, brother. Man, look, you brought the heat again.
I tried.
Dope.
All right. We'll see.
Till next time, y'all.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.